Man, what an exciting day to be a Tekken player. I've had to pinch myself in the arm multiple times today to make sure that I'm not dreaming. Hello guys, in this one I want to talk to you about the reveal of Tekken 7 Season 3. Now I made an initial reaction video this morning, but when it was done I decided not to upload because it felt a little bit pointless. It was less me breaking everything down and more me just breaking down in excitement over the reveal. And I'm glad I waited because I've been re-watching the trailer many times today. I've taken a lot of notes and now I think I have some pretty exciting information to share with you, especially in terms of the new moves that are going to be coming to already existing characters in the game. We're going to get to that in a little bit. One thing I just want to say here initially is that another reason today feels almost a little bit magical to me is that pretty much the same hour this new season was revealed, this channel went past 20,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone for me. It's not what the video is about, so I'm not going to keep on talking about it, but I just want you to know that I see you and the support that you show for me, and I am so very grateful. If I had time and a jet ski, I would cruise all over the world and kiss all 20,000 of you. But let's talk about Tekken. I'm going to talk about the actual reveal first. I was actually sleeping when it happened and I got a message from a friend saying, "Wake up, Harada's on stage." It was about 10 a.m. here in Japan. And I was like, oh shit, and I go on my computer and the first thing I see was the first second of the reveal trailer for Safina. And if you follow me, you know that that was the character I was the most excited about potentially seeing in the game, which means that Namco had me at hello with this reveal, and everything after that was just icing on the cake. Well, it turns out there's a lot of icing on top of the cake, because it's not going to be one or two new characters. It's a completely new season with a total of 4 new characters, balance changes, stages, game features, and new moves. So it's pretty much the most exciting announcement we could possibly have had for this game. And it's kind of crazy to me how Tekken 7 is still picking up speed this far into its lifespan. I mean, the game went past, what, 4 million copies sold last month, and now we've gotten this major content drop that is going to sustain the game far into next year and probably even further. So it's an amazing time to be a Tekken player, and I think this cements Tekken 7 as pretty much the most interesting game or fighting game being played in the world right now, and easily one of the best entries this franchise has ever seen. Okay, let's talk about characters before we get to those moves that I mentioned earlier. The first thing we saw was Safina, and if you're unfamiliar with her, she's a Tekken 6 original character and the only Tekken 6 character who isn't already in the game. 2 of her colleagues are on the screen right now, Miguel and Elisa. This happens to be my old Tekken Tag 2 team, by the way. I've chosen them for a reason. It's going to become apparent in a little bit. And Safina has a very unique style. She basically rotates between 3 different stances: Scarecrow, Mantis, and Tarantula, and she has a very sort of predatory, weird style, reminiscent of kind of like a female version of Voldo from Soul Calibur. And because she's so unique, I'm really excited that she's going to be in this game. Let's talk about the moves that we saw in the trailer. There wasn't a whole lot of it, and it looks like her bread and butter combo is going to be similar to what it's been in the past, because we saw her launch with down forward 2, and then she did forward 2-3. That goes into Scarecrow, and then she spun with Scarecrow 3+4, I'm going to guess it is, which is exactly what she did in the past, because Scarecrow 3+4 used to be her bound move, which was the equivalent of spin in older versions of Tekken. I think Scarecrow is going to remain a major combo stance for the character, the stance that she sort of pivots around in her combos, because we saw that she also uses it in her wall combo, at least the one that they previewed. She did 4-2-3 again at the wall, and then she did a Scarecrow, I think it's 4, it might be 3, it's either or, for the combo ender at the wall, and that is potentially very powerful because that Scarecrow 3 or 4 did, I think, as I remember, 33 damage in Tekken Tag 2. Now it might obviously catch a damage nerf, but if it doesn't, you can imagine 60% wall scaling on that 33 damage hit is going to be, what, 19-20 damage just on the final hit of the combo. It's potentially very powerful, so that's really interesting. I'm looking forward to testing that. That was pretty much all we saw. We saw that she had her homing move was still the same and her wall bounce was there. except of course for the fact that Safina has a new arm, and this is where we have to talk a little bit about Tekken 6 fluff, because the story of Safina is in Tekken 6. She's the guardian of this ancient tomb that has like an evil god entity inside of it that she is protecting the world from. And in the story of Tekken 6, that thing is the final boss. It's called Azazel. And in the arcade endings in that game, Azazel, when he dies, sort of turns into like a crystal ball that I guess sort of has his soul or his essence kind of thing. And I'm guessing that's supposed to be the ball that Safina is carrying here. And I think the story is going to be that she's taken the sort of essence of Azazel into her to contain him and to protect the world from him, but now she's sort of slowly mutating or turning into him, and that's why her arm is becoming like a monster arm, which is a really interesting flavorful direction to take the character that I wasn't expecting, so props for that. It's a great idea in my opinion. Now, how that's going to function in terms of game mechanics, I don't know yet. Is it going to be cosmetic, you know, just part of her attack animations, or is it going to be more mechanical, kind of like Starburst from Claudio? We're just going to have to wait and see, but I think it's a fun idea and it adds a lot of flavor to an already very flavorful character. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is the character reveal that I am personally the most excited about since the release of Miguel, which was before this game even existed on console. So I can go ahead and promise that it's not only a character that I'm going to try, but that I'm going to play a lot and provide content on. I'm going to have combos for you on the first day that she's released, and then I'm going to play her, and as soon as I feel I have enough information that I can make something good, I'm going to make a guide for the character as well. And then whether or not I keep playing her is going to depend on, you know, how she actually feels when I have my hands on her, but there's a very big chance that this character gets added to my repertoire. I'm very, very interested in her. Moving on to the second character that we saw revealed, Leroy. The first thing I want to say here initially that I am like the really most exciting thing about the reveal in my opinion is that Leroy is an original new Tekken 7 character, and that was not something I was expecting. I think most people were expecting guest characters or characters from the past, and it's so great to see that Namco still have the creative juices to not only create something completely new, but something that feels really fresh and exciting, something that doesn't really sort of exist in the game. Now, I made the joke calling him Master Wang or Master Wong on my community page. I'm sure a lot of people have thought of that and made the same joke already, but I don't think this is a character that spawns off of Wang necessarily. It's just, you know, an old guy in a similar jacket who does kung fu, but he seems to take more inspiration from, if you've seen the Donnie Yen movies, Ip Man. It's a lot like that, you know, the Wing Chun style of kung fu, I guess. I'm not an expert. And we didn't really get to see a lot of moves. I think most of that was just, you know, cinematic stuff that is, you know, indicative of what is going to be in the move list, but not actual moves. So the character looks amazing, really, really exciting, cool design. And then we're just going to have to wait and see how he actually plays a little further down the line. But if the Season 3 reveal was just Safina and Leroy and then nothing else, that would be more than enough to make me extremely excited. And it's just so crazy that we're just going to get even more stuff as time goes on. And if you're not as excited about Leroy and Safina as I am, I know some people weren't, you know, exactly super happy about the concept of Safina in this game, then I really hope that there is something in those remaining character slots that gets your juices flowing to the extent that my juices are flowing right now. That's going to be it for the characters that we saw. Now I want to talk about those new moves, and this is where it gets really interesting because Namco showed us new moves for our favorite characters that are already in the game, and this is where I'm going to provide my only point of criticism about the trailer, the only thing that annoyed me a little bit, which is that they showed all these cool new moves, but the clips start in the middle of the attack animation, so we can't see the whole attack animation, and that means two things. We don't know if the moves are fast or slow, and we don't know whether or not they come out of a stance, and that is potentially very important. I'm going to start by talking about Miguel and the new move that we saw for him, and it's basically a version of this hatchet kick, Savage Down Back 3, which is already one of Miguel's best moves. Now he has a new version of this move. He actually rotates full 360 around his leg, so it's not the same attack, and we don't know whether or not it's a Savage move, but because Miguel already has this from Savage, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's not, and that it's actually just a very powerful hatchet kick, pretty much similar to what Brian does a lot of the time. And if you know about Brian's hatchet kick, you know that that is one of the most powerful moves in the game. So it's a really exciting potential buff for Miguel, and it made me very happy. But I want to know how fast it is it unseeable, is it launch punishable and block, does it come out of Savage? We don't know. All we did see is that it has very good range, and it looks like it's going to be high damage, so super exciting. I'm going to be looking forward to diving onto that move as soon as the season drops. Next, we saw a new low. I'm going to talk about another low for Negan, and this is big for you Negan players out there, because it looks like what it is a powerful low from Intimidation Stance, and this is huge for this character. I've talked about on this channel before how Intimidation Stance is not very good for mix-ups because it doesn't have a low. It has an unbreakable throw that functions as the low for mix-up purposes, but that is reactable and duckable, meaning that the stance struggles for mix-up potential. It looks as though this is going to be a powerful long-range high damage low from Intimidation Stance, and if that is what it is, then that is going to easily push Negan up in the tier list really quite far. It's pretty much the most powerful potential change you could give to this character, because now when he does his Punisher's transition into Intimidation, or he goes into it for some other reason, you have to be very scared about the mix-up he has, because his mids are already amazing. Intimidation 2 is amazing, plus on block and everything else, and he has a lot of other good mids too. Now that the low is probably, we don't know for sure, but it looks like the low is there. It's a huge deal for Negan. Moving on, we saw a new move for Elisa. I'm going to mention it because she's one of my main characters, and this is another one where the clip starts in the middle of the move, so we don't know if it's a stance move, if it's a string, or anything else. It looks like a crush move, kind of Matterhorn-esque. She shows her panties to the opponent, and it wall splats, but Claudio, her opponent, is sort of already in the air when the move connects, so we don't know if this is a move that splats when the opponent is standing on the ground. All we know is that you can use it to carry to the wall when they're already launched, so again, I would really like some more information there. Moving on to Elisa, maybe we should switch over to her. She had a potentially very interesting looking move. It looks to me like it's a new extension of her back four, and her back four is already a good move. This is like a punishing string for her, and the back four by itself is a long range counter hit mid. It used to be a combo ender and floor break tool, especially in the Tekken Tag 2 days, and what I think the move is going to be is back four and then 4 again, or 3+4, and it's a big backflip sort of move that looks like it has really good wall conversion potential. Excuse me. And this is big because Elisa currently struggles for wall conversion potential. Like you probably know, she will end her combos with down 3 backup stance 1 like that, which is high damage for an ender, but it doesn't allow her to convert to the wall. She needs to really limit her combo damage if she wants to convert her combos to the wall, and then she has good wall enders like that move, for example. But because this back four is long range, something that she could potentially do in the new season if we move around here is, say for example that she, if we make Miguel stand up here, spin her opponent, she could run up and do this back four and then do the other extension, and then that would provide hopefully a lot of damage, but also allow her to convert to a high wall spot where she could go in and do her wall ender, and that's going to help her wall conversion potential, and honestly really help the character in general, because it is one of the areas where she currently struggles. The other two that we saw in like the those clips that I picked up on was a new 3-hit combo ending string for Feng, which is good for him because right now Feng has pretty stale combos. He does, you know, forward 3-4, forward 3-4 again for the filler, and then forward 3-4 again for the ender. kind of low damage, but also not really inspired and a little bit stale. But now it looks like he has a new pretty decent damage wall carry ending string right there. And if that ends up in his bread and butters, it's going to make the combo game of Feng a little bit more fun and maybe a little bit more powerful. So it's a change that I think makes sense for him. And then the last one before we get on to the second part of the new moves is Lee, who looks like he has a new spin move that I noticed. And he also has kind of a weird and janky but powerful combo game already. And maybe that's an attempt to make his combo game a little bit more intuitive. Now, the main enchilada that I want to get to here is what happened next. Because in that video, there was like a splash screen after that where they said new moves for the characters. And it had all these little windows that sort of faded into the background. And if you look carefully at those windows, every single one is a new move for a character that wasn't shown anywhere else in the trailer. And I got very excited when I noticed that, so I picked up the ones that I thought were exciting, and I'm going to talk about them now. So let's start with Bob, a character that I play. Bob has a new spin move, and it looks like it's going to be crouch dash 3-4 because it starts with the same animation as his current crouch dash 3, which is the knee where he jumps into the air, and then he has a duckable safe high. Because that duckable high is safe, I'm going to guess that this is probably a mid that he can use to mix that, and it is also potentially really useful for him in his combo game, which is already good, but he needs to do the 4-3, 3+4 ender for the unscaled damage on the last hit to get really good combo damage. And I'm guessing this could be Namco's attempt to again make some more intuitive combo game for a character, and so it's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. Next, we're going to talk about Gyges. This is a big one, of course. Gyges is a character that everybody wants to see buffed. We're waiting for news about him. Gyges also has a new spin move. It looks to me like it's going to be down back 3-2. I think, he has that low right now where he does a slow kick that staggers. Now he has a spinning extension off of that. The reason this is big for Gyges' combo game is currently he has a couple of launchers where he can't get full combo damage because he doesn't have the ability to spin that low. So what he has to do is, for example, off of his launcher, forward 1+2, is his down forward 3 series, which is a combo without a spin that ends up doing damage somewhere in the higher 50s, low 60s. But with this new spin, just doing that into Excavator, which shores up his damage because of the unscaled damage on the final hit, that's already going to be very healthy, and he might be able to get even more. So it's a buff to Gyges' combo game and potentially really interesting. The next thing that is really interesting to know is, is it natural on counter hit? Can he use it to wall splat and stuff like that? And that's something that we're going to have to wait and see about. It's not the buff that is going to propel Gyges way up the tier list, but there might be other stuff for him, and it's at least a very welcome change that I think is going to help him overall. Next, we're going to talk about Lars, the big character, or another big character that a lot of people want to see buffed because he's currently quite weak. Lars has, it looks to me, a power crush from Silent Entry in the new season. Silent Entry is Lars's mix-up stance, and it doesn't have a lot of mix-up potential right now. Kind of like Intimidation from Negan and Harrier from Katarina. And it's really, really big to get a power crush here, and I think the thing to compare it to is the power crush that Raven got access to from her back turn recently. When you have a mix-up stance where a lot of the options can be interrupted by the opponent, especially with a quick evasive option like a down jab, having a power crush there is so good because it is something that is going to beat the opponent every time they attempt an interruption. That causes opponents who are dealing with the stance to hesitate, and when they hesitate, you get the time you need to apply the mix-up from the stance, which means that there's a lot more mix-up potential, I think, in Silent Entry going forward. It looks like it might be a high. I hope it's a mid. We're going to have to wait and see. But I think it's a potentially really big change for Lars, and it might be what he needs to feel, a lot more rewarding to play in the new season. Next move I want to talk about is a new extension for fly stance for Kazumi. When she flies forward, she has a hell sweep currently that you probably know about, and it looks like she has a sort of can variant of that right now where she does scissor kicks and carries the opponent towards the wall. It also looks like it potentially will do some pretty good damage. And the reason this is big for Kazumi is that her one area where she really struggles right now is combo damage. She has low combo damage, and her combo damage at the wall especially was recently nerfed because of the damage nerf to her standing 1+2. Currently she tends to convert to the wall using her 1-1-2 flash punch combo, but now when she spins she can run up and do a forward 3, fly, and then do these new scissor kicks for a wall conversion move that is hopefully going to have some decent damage, and that is really going to help Kazumi in the one area where she really struggles. And so it's exactly the buff you are looking for if you are a Kazumi player, and so you're probably very happy about this. And I want to take the time to say that I think it's impressive how Namco keep on pinpointing exactly what I think is, you know, lacking in a character and improving specifically that aspect. Let's hope for more jab range on Miguel. The biggest buff and the most interesting buff we could get in this game, in my opinion, is jab range for Miguel, and he still hasn't gotten it, so let's hope it's in there somewhere. The final move I want to talk about is a new spin move for Katarina, another character that I play. She has a new spin move from Harrier stance, another one of those stances I mentioned that currently struggles for mix-up potential. It looks to me like it's going to be Harrier 2-4, at least I think. Katarina is a character who already specializes in really powerful combos, and now that she has this long range stance and a spin move after it, it might actually improve her combo game even more. Now, Katarina's bread and butter combos are already so good that this might not even make it into her standard combo game. She might just keep on doing what she's already doing, but maybe it will provide even better combos, or at least a little bit of flexibility in terms of conversions, and it's going to cement her as one of the best characters in the game when it comes to combo damage, wall conversions, and wall damage. So she's a combo specialist, and she has a new tool on the horizon for that package. I'm going to be very interested to see what that does for the mix-up potential for Harrier stance, but that's another thing we need you know, frame data and specific information to know more about. Those are all the moves I'm going to talk about in this video because they are the ones that stood out to me as interesting. But if you go to the trailer and you look at that one screen where those little windows popped up, there are many more characters in there. I saw Dragunov, I saw the Mishimas, I saw Jin. So maybe go back and check for your favorite character, and if you see anything interesting that you want to let me know about, feel free to post it in the comments that we can enjoy it. And that's going to be it for this video, and I hope it was at least a little bit more informative and chewy than, you know, just a video of me reacting dramatically to the initial reveal. At least I hope so. But I just want to say again, thank you so very much for the support and for being here. What an exciting time to be a player. Much more content coming in the near future, and in September we're going to do, well, specifically a lot of Safina, I hope, so please feel free to check back for that. But for now, thank you so very much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.